I know everybody hates ads, and YouTube already gives them to you, so I'll get through this as quickly as possible. I was just sponsored with W Energy Drink. W was formulated to give you focus and energy with no crashes or jitters. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics to help you stay on and complete your tasks even whenever your ADHD is in full gear. They have a ton of super delicious flavors like their Galaxy Grenade here, which is my fruit blend that I've got, and they've got really awesome shakers that appear every once in a while and sometimes just go out. So you gotta go on there and check it out to see if you can find one. So if you think this sounds awesome and you're like, where could I go to get this, Prophet? Well, I put a link down in the description to their website, w.gg, and if you use that link and put in the code Prophet of Woe, so I'm gonna put it right here somewhere, I don't know, so it's gonna be somewhere, during their checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off. So, have a good day. Listen, I know. It's been a long time. I cut my hair. This isn't my normal shtick. I get it. It's fine. It'll be alright. I promise. Anyways, I've been planning on getting back to uploading for a while, and so while I've been continuing to get a backlog of videos to edit, this idea for a quick, easy one popped into my head, and I thought, screw it. Why the hell not? I've been wanting to try my hand out at video essays for a while, and I've got a couple more in mind, but they're a lot more in depth, so I figured I would try this one out and see if I've got the legs for it. But anyways, you saw the title, The Elder Scrolls Castles just released, and boy oh boy do I have some thoughts. So if you didn't know, The Elder Scrolls Castles is a mobile game developed by Bethesda Softworks game studios of Fallout, Skyrim, and Doom fame, plus many others, set in the world of Tamriel, a fantasy realm with a full divine demonic pantheon, a myriad of colorful fantasy races, and an absolute boatload of lore. Castles is a base building and resource gathering adventure quest style game where you don't play as a specific character, but you manage all of the characters' lives and happiness by expanding your castle and providing for them. You go on quests, you complete tasks, and you're the guiding hand of the ruler in charge to make whatever decisions you think will prove most beneficial to the quality and prosperity of the kingdom. Bethesda released a very similar game ages ago in 2015 based in the Fallout universe called Fallout Shelters, and the progression and gameplay mechanics of Castles borrows heavily from their previous entry. While that's not really a bad thing, I do kind of wish that mobile games would deviate a bit more from this base building, resource gathering grind, because there's like a billion of these games out there, and most of them are pretty terrible, but I digress. Castles starts out with a short slideshow of stylized cartoon frames explaining that because some guy helped the Emperor with some war or something, he was bequeathed land and a title, allowing him to rule as a sovereign over an unspecified part of Tamriel. This is a side note, and it's not really said anywhere in the game, but because of the mountains and the landscape, my guess is that it's somewhere in High Rock. Plus, I don't know if it's different for everyone, but when I started out, like 80% of my subjects were Breton, and High Rock is the Breton homeland, so... Anyways, the slideshow shows that he was unfaithful to the queen with a Khajiit servant, and then you were dropped into the game. After doing a few tutorial tasks as him, he gets assassinated, and you are faced with the first real decision of the game, choosing a successor. But honestly, I don't even remember the other picks that I got for the line of succession, because as soon as I saw the Khajiit, she was my instant pick, because I thought that it would be hilariously ironic to turn Katya into the very thing she fears the most. If you know, you know. So it turns out that this particular Khajiit was the one that the king had an affair with, and even though he had a wife and a son, that your hand as the guiding force of this world can throw all recognized and normalized monarchy succession line practices out the window and just choose a random servant that the king had an eye for as the ruler. After a lot more hand-holding tutorial gameplay, you are dropped into the game and allowed to start making your first real decisions and choices of the game. As a mini rant, why do they all do that, dude? I hate that. Just let me play the game and figure it out for myself. Like, have an index that I can go to if I have questions, but I don't need you saying that, hey, this glowing, floating icon is probably important. Like, gamers kind of have that innate sense, you know? The ruling mechanics is actually really cool, I think. You're given multiple choices for each with a variety of outcomes, and since the subjects are all across the board when it comes to status, races, and preferences, There's hardly ever a straight right choice answer. Doing something to please the nobles might upset the commoners, or vice versa. If the orcs and the wood elves are at odds, which, to be fair, in my file at least, it seems like the orcs are at odds with everybody, doing something to help one party will upset the other. And on a personal level, if two people just don't like each other for whatever reason, ruling in favor of one is gonna put you on the bad side of whoever you didn't rule for. There are sometimes choices where you can satisfy both parties or everybody involved, but for me at least, it seemed like those were very few and far between. It is a standard base building and resource gathering style game though, so there are quality of life things that every character needs to survive and be happy. Did you waste all your food throwing a feast? Your people will starve while they restock the larder. Not enough people working the oil press? Some stations will become unavailable due to the lack of candles, and they'll just stay that way until you get more. Health is a factor too, but as far as I saw, only starving and quests really affect that. Like, I didn't see any instances of anybody getting sick or people hurting themselves on accident or anything like that. But all of these things contribute to determining the mood of your subjects with things like, are they good at their job? Do they like their coworkers? Are they being overworked? Also factoring into it as well. Another new addition is the ability to upgrade tools, outfits, and weapons, which was bizarrely missing in Fallout Shelter. At least back when I played it, whatever an outfit or weapon was when it was rolled was what it was, and there was no way to mod or upgrade it, which is a pretty glaring oversight considering that that's a heavy part of the parent game's core gameplay mechanics. There are still tiers, common, uncommon, rare, legendary, meaning that some gear will just always have the potential to be better than others, but at least they give you the ability to try and compensate for that gap if you haven't been able to roll a good piece of gear that you need just yet. The soundtrack is honestly pretty great, and while I was sitting and writing out the script, I just had it like going in the background to set the mood, you know? Besides the battle themes, it's all very soft and easy listening strings with little motifs from other OSTs of the Elder Scrolls series thrown into it to tickle your nostalgia gland in your brain and make you go, that was good. But this is where I think that the pros end and the cons start showing up. Obviously, this is a game that's meant to be played a little bit each day, but because of that, you plateau real fast. After maybe only an hour of actual playtime, I'm not counting the 20-minute tutorial, I found that I couldn't progress any further unless I was going to spend real money on it, which is the point. People pretty generally want instant gratification and satisfaction, and companies know that. So in the gacha mobile games industry, or in just gacha games in general, making you wait while also making you want to play more is the name of the game. They're really trying to hit that fine line of, if I don't get it now, I might not get another chance, or if I only had just a couple more resources, way of reasoning in your brain to make you want to spend money on their game. Now, to be totally fair, you can play these games without spending any money on them, and plenty of people play it exactly like that, where they just wait out the time and hoard all their resources until they see something that comes up that they might want, or they have enough to buy the thing that they've been eyeing for a long time. I'm mostly one of those players, but on ones that kind of grab my interest, I might spend, a couple bucks on the starter pack or whatever to give me a boost in the early game and make sure that my file is able to stay alive for the late and mid game. Is it kind of scummy to play off of FOMO and be kind of a cash grab? Well, yeah, but when it comes down to it, these are companies that spent time and money funding and producing a free game, and they're gonna try and get everything they can out of it, On the topic of the adventure quests and the combat, I don't actually have a lot to say on it. There is minimal input amounting to go here, use your ability, and oh shit, heal. So any actual fighting that happens is done by the AI and is kind of bland and basic in my opinion. Besides that, the quests all have these 3 optional objectives that, if I'm being honest, I just found annoying as hell. Most of them revolve around using specific abilities a certain number of times, or having your character outfitted with a weapon of choice, which ultimately led to my heroes not having their best gear equipped a lot of the time, and yet somehow still killing everything too fast for me to activate the abilities the requested number of times because of the cooldown timer. There are upwards of 200 quests available right now, and I'm only around 25 or so, but that's my thought on that part. And honestly, it's not the most important part of the gameplay for me. Most of your time will be spent caring for your subjects and expanding your castle. Another nice quality of life improvement made since Fallout Shelter is the ability to have your resources refunded to you when you change the layout of your castle. So you don't have to worry about wasting materials and you're free to experiment with designing how you want everything set up and how you want it all to look. Plus, it is really cool to actually see the infrastructure of the castle change as you add and remove parts from it. Overall, The Elder Scrolls Castle, in my opinion at least, is just another entry into this oversaturated market of this style of game. If you're looking for something to waste time on for 10 minutes a day while you're waiting on your food to get done, or you're in the bathroom, or you're on the train going to work, you can definitely find worse games out there. Anyways, if you found this video interesting or informative, be sure to hit the like button, share it maybe, you know, subscribe if you want. I just mostly do video game content and D&D and stuff like that. And like I said in the beginning, I'm working on starting to get a backlog going so that I can have a consistent upload schedule, and I'm not going to start releasing it until I have a good bit. So hopefully I'll be able to see you here soon. Anyways, hope you all have a good day. Peace out.